It's about to go down with Marc and Cathey, a live coaching show about dropping ideas. Marc and Cathey coach and have conversations with brilliant idea creators who are reimagining the world through the expression of their words, thoughts, and action.
Hey everybody, welcome to It's About to Go Down. I'm Marc Williams.
I'm Cathey Armillas, and we have Stephan Dyer with us. Stephan is a bilingual comedian. Did you hear that? He can tell jokes in two languages, y'all, Spanish and English. He's from Costa Rica. He's also a keynote speaker, a corporate trainer, and get this, he's a lifestyle entrepreneur. So many great things about Stephan. I had a chance to meet him when he was the moderator of a panel that I was on, and he was fire. So I loved it. I love the way he thinks. And today he's going to share an idea with us. And it's in the space of this. You can escape competition with whatever it is that you do if you just bring forth your authenticity. So Stephan, thanks for being on the show. And I am so excited, Marc, so excited to talk to you about this idea. Tell us a little bit more about this.
I can't explain how excited I am right now because two of the most brilliant minds on earth with me right now. I'm very excited, like High School Musical. I feel like this is the start of something new, something big in my life. So as an immigrant, I've been an immigrant my entire life because my parents are Peruvian. And I was born in Costa Rica. So even as a Costa Rican, I wasn't really Costa Rican. I was Peruvian because I was raised in a Peruvian household. At the age of 10, I moved to El Salvador. And I clearly wasn't Salvadorian because I was Costa Rican to them. Then I moved to Mexico, then Montreal, then Toronto. I moved around all because of my dad's job. My dad is a drug lord. No, I'm kidding. He's a businessman. He's a businessman. And all this time, it was very hard to make new friends. I made the friends, but it was very hard to establish a reputation of somebody who could perform or who could play soccer or who could do well in school because I was constantly behind others who had more time at whatever it was that we were competing at, be it school, be it soccer, be it rugby, be it anything. And once I started to get comfortable, I would move to another place. So a few years from now, I heard this concept by Naval, the podcaster, the founder of AngelList, called the best way to win really in life and to achieve wealth, not just financially, but in all areas of your life, is to escape competition through authenticity. Because nobody can be better at being Cathey than Cathey. Now, the hard part is you got to get to know Cathey. A lot of people think that because you live inside your own body that you know yourself, but you don't really know yourself that well. So the more you are authentic to who you really want to be, who you really are, the more you will escape competition. You will win at whatever thing you're doing, because nobody can be better at being Stephan Dyer than Stephan Dyer. Now, then I added another layer, which was being really good at one thing. Let's call it, there's 10,000 skills in the world. Being really good at one thing is too hard of a problem. Like if I practiced for my entire life the 100-meter dash, I wouldn't have a chance at beating Usain Bolt. Not even close. And this is like dedicating my life to it, you know?
Yep.
So Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, kind of coined this term, this concept that I love, which falls in line with escape competition through authenticity. And there's 10,000 skills. Being really good at one is too hard, but being good, like really good at three, not the best at one, but being really good at three. Just by the sheer probability of being really good at three things out of 10,000 skills, just by the combination, the permutations, and the probability, you're the best at those three things in the world. So what Scott Adams has is he's a good cartoonist, not the best. If you watch Dilbert, you're like, this guy can kind of draw. Cartoonist. Yeah. He used to work at banks. He is a businessman. And he knows a lot about hypnotism. About that's how you say it in English, right? Hypnotism?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, hypnotism. Yeah.
Yes.
You just got us with that odd third thing.
Yeah.
I know.
Right.
So just by the probabilities, what are the chances that you got somebody who's good in business, can draw, and is good at hypnotism? So if you see Dilbert, the part that was successful was Dilbert in The Office. And now he's like a multi-millionaire. I'm not saying that money is equal to success, but if you're trying to escape competition through authenticity, that's the best way to do it. Let's say that, for example, Marc knows how to surf. He speaks French and is really good at marketing, for example.
You got one of them right.
Yeah, the French part.
Yeah.
No, the French part.
Let's say, Marc can speak French, let's say, can surf, and is really good at marketing or design. Maybe he could be the next designer of surfboards in St. Bart's and make a boatload of money. But by you trying to just fit the mold and follow the herd, you're just trying to be the best accountant. How many accountants are there in the world? I mean, it's okay if you don't want to be the best, but I want to be the best at something, because I want to live an amazing life. Like, I don't have 28 more lives to live. I want to be the best now. So to summarize, this whole time, these 30 plus years that I've been alive, I kept trying to hide and not reveal and not share the things that made me unique, because I was kind of embarrassed, because those were the same things that made me not fit in when I was moving as a kid. Now, those same things are the same things that make me unique, special, and better at who I am, not just on stage as a comedian, because most of my comedy is about being an immigrant and not fitting in, but also as a communication trainer, also as a podcaster, also as a keynote speaker. Like, not a lot of people can have the combination of comedy, vulnerability, or communication, and banking, for example.
Yeah.
But I used to be a banker for many years. So I'm just trying to really maximize on the things that make me different and unique, so I can escape competition through authenticity.
God, I love that, Stephan. You know, one thing that I didn't know, I know, right? It's like, okay, all right, episode over. It's great. Except we have one little problem. Those were other people's concepts. So
yes.
I love that you put them into play for yourself, but now knowing that the actual phrasing of like escaping competition through authenticity is somebody else's. I'm glad that somebody else's words inspired you, but now I would love, like any good keynoter or comedian, right? We got to come up with our own material. So I think our job now is at least set, Marc, right? It's like, how do we, because Stephan does this really well. There's some things that if he named 5 things, there's like probably nobody in the entire world that's ever lived that will have his 5 things. So how do we express this? Like, Stephan, I know you've already given a TED talk, but I want to put you in this position. If you were going to give a TED talk on this tomorrow, how would you actually express this idea in your own words? Like, how can we start there?
I love that. Part of what makes me unique as well is that unknowings to me of what I was doing at the time. I graduated at age 22 from the University of Toronto and studied finance, and I got an internship at Scotiabank. 8 months later, I got a manager position, one of the youngest managers in the company at age 23. 4 years later, I became one of the youngest senior managers ever in Scotiabank history. And I started to, at the time, I couldn't pin it, because was I an okay worker? Yeah, I was okay, but I'm not a genius by any means. What made me different? So I found a job that required the specific skill set that I had that not a lot of people did, which was I spoke English, I spoke Spanish. Scotiabank has a lot of presence in Latin America. So I needed to be able to talk to clients and write and analyze in Spanish and English. I obviously needed to know finance, which is what I studied. And the right opportunity, luck found me because I was able to meet so many people through my networking and relationship building skills, to the point that when there was a job, they called me because I had met that person over a beer or something, and I told them what I did, told them my story, and it was easy for them to tell it for me once it came the opportunity for them to recommend someone. So it's not just escape competition through authenticity. It's also let people know what makes you different so that they can tell you your story when you're not present. Because if the story is too complicated, they're not going to even remember it. So the way that I started to, and another thing that makes me unique is I'm really good at networking, at building authentic relationships, because I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to be authentic. And when you're yourself, you connect with people at a human level. So nobody's intimidated. It's the human side coming out. People are more likely to want to work with you if you're approachable and human, as opposed to perfect and arrogant. So those things, I think, really allowed me to not just get that job in 2014, 15, but to quit that job 3 years
because
later.
You were doing so good.
Yeah.
With the
to quit that job.
I love that.
to pursue my professional career in stand-up comedy. And the same principles and the same habits that I implemented at the bank to be able to get a really good job. Remember, talent and skills are not enough because there's 1,000 other people that could do the job, maybe. How many people can write credits or do financial analysis? Millions. But how many people have the specific combination of experiences and skill sets and language skills and relationship building skills that I had? So those same things, I applied them to my comedy life, to the point that I have created a comedy and public speaking school where we've helped hundreds, over 1,000 people become confident speakers. And I've been able to perform in 4 continents. So it's not the skills and the talent that's important, but the thing that's under it that makes you unique, that you have to be able to share so that other people find opportunities for you, so that luck finds you in many ways.
Ooh.
I'm just going to drop something really quick, Marc.
Go for it.
I already have a concept that I think I want to throw out there. I can't help it, Stephan. You don't even know me well enough to know.
Wait,
I'm
Cathey,
like, I'm the queen of like, go ahead.
I got to tell you, this is why I love to having these conversations with Cathey, because what I was actually about to say was not really for you, Stephan. It was really a setup question for Cathey, because I can see the concept muscles and wheels just turning. So go for it, Cathey.
I feel like my coaching of TED speakers has just like really taught me, and Stephan, you and I talked about this on your podcast, which was really cool. It's really got me to think about everything in life as an idea. And then always, and you and I talked about this, and Marc and I talk about it all the time, your idea has to be your unique idea, even if the topic is not unique, but your special spin on that idea. And that's why immediately out of the gate, I'm like, let's find the way Stephan can say it, not the way he can, and you articulated this so beautifully. Awesome. Now let's put it in your words, your voice. Let it be your material. I came up with this idea, and it's a little rough right now, and it might be a little cheesy, so just hold on for a sec. But I think it's the combination of you, and you could even be an acronym for like your own uniqueness. So it's the combination of only those things that you can be. And so the you, yeah, exactly. Right. So I do, sometimes I don't like cheesy acronyms, but it's just simple because it's your own uniqueness. But it's this thing that you're talking about, and it's your way to say the same thing that maybe Scott said or that you heard, but it's your way to articulate it, And I think what you're saying is so true, because you don't, you don't even have to be the best at something. Like you said, you can just be pretty damn good.
Yeah, exactly.
But nobody can replicate your own uniqueness. There's just nobody can. There's nobody in the world like Marc Williams. Nobody. Like now there might be somebody that, you know, is like positive as him, right? But there's nobody that has the same academia background. There's nobody that has the love for East Coast rap like Marc Williams. Like, I mean, his combination of things that I can tell you, and how much of a family man he is and how much he loves his family. Like, and again, like you said, millions of people love their family or whatever, millions of people in academia, millions of people love East Coast rap. But this whole combination of who Marc is, I love this. So just a thought, what do you think, Marc?
Here's what I like about it. And, you know, it's funny you said you're not always a big fan of the cheesy acronyms. I think it's not the acronym itself that makes it work. It's the emphasis on the word combination.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
Because, right, Stephan's not just talking about being unique. It's this concept of what are three things that you can put together. You know, it reminds me a lot of times when I do career coaching, I always ask people, what are three adjectives that you might use to describe yourself, right? And I don't know, it's something about being a communicator and a public speaker that I don't know, we have this fascination with the power of three. But it's that word combination that is so incredibly important to what you're saying. So I think that's the key word in the concept that you've come up with, Cathey, that really makes it work. And my wondering is, when you go up in front of people, once again, whether it's for another TED Talk, a workshop, you know, that interactive activity or that thought activity of now starting to help people to identify what are their things. Because some people have a hard enough time identifying one thing they're good at.
Yeah.
But you're also telling them, don't even get caught up. Because I think the problem that we often have with trying to figure out what we're good at is we're searching for that dirty word that you mentioned earlier, perfection. I don't know one thing that I'm really perfect at, right? And so forget what you're perfect at. Just what are three things that you're good at? And now start to figure out how you can combine these three things into a job, an opportunity, an entrepreneurial experience, a comedy routine, whatever it may be. But I think that's the key to when you get up in front of people, getting them to think about those three or more things.
And is one of them actually, so there's power in negativity, right? We all know that. Unfortunately, like we will not, a million people might tell you you're awesome at something, but the one person that tells you you're terrible or you suck at it, that's the person you'll remember forever. But, and you know, we do more, I always say this, but we do more to avoid pain than we will to actually go after gain. So maybe also is your part, Stephan, because you said this very brilliantly. And so this may be your unique piece to even this concept is, would you say that it's also finding that thing that other people would think is the bad thing about you? Like I think about the actor Steve Buscemi, if I'm saying it right. He was being interviewed one time and somebody said, why don't you fix your teeth? Like, it's like, you know, and he's famous for having like a really, really bad overcrowded teeth. Right. And he's like, are you kidding me? Like I'd never get work again. And so the thing that was like, maybe he hated about himself when he was young. And the thing that you expressed, Stephan, of like always being the immigrant. I'm the forever immigrant. I'm always moving and I'm never associating with the place. I don't fit in, but you used it to but then later you talked about the thing of not fitting into what everybody else was doing in the banking industry made you the leader at the young age and made you excel than not fitting in.
Yeah. So. I mean, I am a master at fitting in. I think now, because I've done it my entire life, I am a master at connecting with people. Because I never fit in. Yeah. I became a master at doing it. So I can connect with anybody. I can make anybody laugh. I can read an audience. I can relate to any client, any keynote speaker, because so I kind of turned that negativity into positive because those were the same things that caused me pain at the beginning. So there's something that I want to add that could be instrumental to the conversation. It's this concept of uncommon commonalities. And what I mean by that is we all have commonalities. Now, the degree to which these are uncommon amongst us will in many ways dictate how tight we are or how much we connect, because relationships move at the speed of vulnerability, and vulnerability builds trust. So for example, if Marc right now said, or if Cathey right now said, I love comedy, I love Barcelona, and I love watching National Geographic hunting videos, like animals hunting each other. Me too. So we're automatically best friends. You know?
Right.
Like the same things that we're ashamed of or that we hide are the same things that nobody can compete with, because that's what makes you unique. Like, for example,
you got 2 out of 3, by the way.
there's this thing that I have that is weird, that always makes people laugh at my shows or my workshops. And it's this thing called post-micturition convulsive syndrome, which is post-micturition convulsive syndrome. I grew up, I still have it, and I thought I was the only one in the world. And it's basically that when I pee, I cry. Like when I pee, tears come down my face. My eyes get really red. Tears come down my face. And like, I'm not crying of pain. It's just like my eyes get really red. And it's really weird. And then I Googled it like 3 years ago or whatever. And like me and women with the menopause have it. That like, it's just that. And that thing, like, I thought I was the only one who had it. And there's been like a couple of shows and people in the audience like, me too. And we end up talking after the show, like, oh yeah, it's been so weird in our lives, like in public bathrooms when guys want to talk and you're having and you're tight because nobody else has it.
Right.
It's super awkward. Yeah. Very few people. So what's your post-micturition convulsive syndrome? I have a great friend that you both would love and should have on the podcast called Jose Piranian. He has a chronic stutter. He has like 3 TED Talks, and he says his thing is everybody has a stutter. No, he says everybody stutters. I just do it when I talk. So what's your post-micturition convulsive syndrome? What's that thing that makes you unique that you've been ashamed of sharing for your entire life? But those are the things that make you unique. It doesn't have to be like a weird, like I pee when I cry, but it can be like, I'm really good at relationships. I speak.
Let's play the game, Stephan. Let's play the game. You knew it.
Knew you were going to do it.
You knew it was coming. You knew it. Let's play the game. What's your weird, Marc? I got mine already. What's yours? Let's play.
Oh, man.
Because I like this, Stephan. So let's practice it. Like, let's show our audience. Like, let's show them what it looks like. We're going to do this on. If you can't think of yours, I can say mine first. I already knew as soon as he said it. I was like, oh, I got one.
Well, I'll throw out one. I think it's a lame awkward and a lame weird, but I always thought that I was the only one who had TMJ. Anybody know what TMJ is?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So my jaw clicks like you would not know. I used to be on the phone with people and it would click and they were like, wait, do you have a call on the other line? I was like, no, what are you talking about?
There you go.
Yeah, my jaw's calling on the other line.
Yes. And one scary story, many years ago, I was at an amusement park in one of those wave pools, and where my feet didn't touch the ground and my jaw locked open.
Oh.
I was holding on to dear life to the top of the ladder so that my head would not go under. That's the worst my TMJ has ever been. But that's my TMJ. That's awkward.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. So we're all going to be in the facial area.
Yeah.
I used to tongue thrusting. It just sounds so bad too. It's like the worst thing.
What does it mean?
It means that when I was little, like for some odd reason, I didn't learn to swallow correctly. So when I would swallow, my tongue would thrust forward and it's supposed to go back. For normal people, it should go back. And so I kept tongue thrusting. And so it kept causing my teeth to shift and move. And so I ended up, when I didn't figure it out till I was in my 30s and I was already a professional speaker, I went to see an orthodontist and he's like, oh, you're a major tongue thruster. I was like, I'm a what? And so I had to get braces as an adult and they put them behind my teeth. And then I had to go to speech therapy for like 6-8 months to teach me how to swallow again correctly. I think I still do it a little bit, but I've gotten rid of like 90% of the habit. So yeah, it's a weird, odd thing, right? But somebody, you're right, Stephan. If I say that in a group of 500 people, I promise you there'll be one person who's like, me too. Because
that's an uncommon commonality. The weirder and more unique it is, the more you connect. I have another really weird one, which is I can memorize. I don't want it. I mean, I do everybody's hands and feet. Like for people from when I'm a kid, I just know how their hands and their feet look. Anybody. If I see their hands and feet once, I know how they look forever.
Wow.
Like all these weird superpowers that we all have. It's just that you haven't done the self-awareness effort work to know. Obviously, you're not going to say in an interview, what makes you qualified for this job? Well, I can memorize everybody's feet. but I tongue thrust.
Right.
But
they're like, that's all those things sound like an HR problem. That's going to be bad.
But everybody has these things in their, call it like relationships or in their lifestyle or in sports or in financial or in business. Like we all have these things that make us unique, or those things can have utility in specific contexts, because nothing really is a strength or a weakness. It's just context. Like being really intimidating can be really good as a bouncer. It can be horrible as a kindergarten teacher, So
maybe not saying the bad, Stephan, could we call it what's your weird? Because that's maybe not it's the thing. If you were a kid, people would laugh and make fun of you. So it's kind of weird. It's weird because it's out of the normal, right? And kids are so good at like finding the other kids that don't conform to the norm, right? Conform to the norm. But it's maybe finding what's your weird, I think, because then it's not so negative. It's more like, what's that kind of weird? It's weird that I tongue thrust. It's weird that you pee when you cry. It's weird that, that Marc's jaw will click when he's, on the phone with people and they think it's call waiting, or he'll be in a pool and it'll get stuck. And yeah, I love that. I don't know. I feel like that's more your space. And I feel like you can genuinely and authentically talk about that. And then maybe you could describe the concept of what's your weird. Who are you? Like, the part of you is your own uniqueness. So that's something that's very unique to you, especially in combination. I think the combination piece is really important too. If you think about it, that thing where like when they're trying to match you with somebody that for some kind of body donor, whether it be for blood or they start to really narrow. There's a combination, and the more that the combination hits, of course, the less people that they can find. So if they're like, no, we're going to need a liver, but the person has to be this blood type, but they also have to be within the same height or age or like, so they, it keeps narrowing it down. And the more that they narrow it down, the more it starts to really dissipate and it's harder to find.
All right. Exactly. So here's the thing. First of all, Stephan, I would love for you to write this line down. Cathey and I take notes all the time. You said nothing is a strength or weakness. It's just in context. Yeah. I think that was a very that is a good line. Powerful line. A hugely powerful line that is now your own. I'm assuming you've never heard that from anywhere. And that's one of your unique lines, but that was really powerful. But what I was going to ask for your audience, because now we went through this, 3 different very weird things, or actually we had a 4th one about the hands and the feet. If your thing is to ask us or to get us to think about our weirdness, and then you're also somebody who has been able to take his weirdness and build relationships that have created opportunities, however you define success. Yeah. But it has created successful opportunities for you. if you were to pick one of the two weird things that you just mentioned, how have you in the past used those to make a connection that led to a successful opportunity? Because if I'm in your audience, I'm thinking, well, that's great, Dad. My weird thing is that when I'm alone, my ears pop out and switch sides or whatever. But, you know,
I can only smell through one nostril.
Right. And people already, as you've already implied, that we already have this kind of like reservation about sharing those weird things. Yeah. But you're saying there's something very powerful in that. So how have you applied this to make me feel more comfortable about sharing my weirdness?
So I love that question. I think it's not me remembering everybody's feet and hands. It's not that the superpower. The superpower is under that, which is being able to memorize and remember specific things about specific people that allow me to make them feel seen and heard, which by definition, if they feel seen and heard, they like me more. Now, if you go into an interview and there's other 40 people interviewing, this could be my superpower. Obviously, maybe this is the first time that I see this person, but if they mention something about Bosnia or about Madagascar or about Costa Rica, and I know things about this and I'm being authentic and I can share them, they're going to remember me. And if I'm authentic about my story, they're going to remember me. Guess who they're going to call back? Ghostbusters. No, I'm kidding. Guess who they're going to call? Me. Because we all have the same resume. We all kind of have the same resume. We already made the cut. Like we passed the HR test or whatever. The HR first layer.
Yep.
So it's not the feet and the hands that is the superpower. It's me being able to memorize and remember things about specific people that let them know that I care about the relationship. And because we're able to connect, they remember my story. And when an opportunity comes up in their sphere, they're going to call me. Because it's not a transactional. Oh, yeah, how are you? Good, good. Yeah, everybody says good, but they're not really good. How are you? Hey, how's your aunt? You mentioned she had cancer 4 years ago. Has she been able to blah, blah, blah? Or how's your daughter? You guys went to the Billie Eilish concert. I remember that from last time. And I said 12 years old and she's 12 years old. Guess what? A lot of people don't remember that. Yep. So these little things, guess what? If somebody talks about going viral on YouTube 20 years ago, I'm going to mention Cathey's story because she did it like 20 years ago or 2008. I don't remember exactly what date it was, but I remember that about her. So that's my superpower. One of my superpowers, remembering specific things about specific people that make them feel seen and heard. And then I go connect them with opportunities and people. And I'm just assisting like John Stockton, baby. Assist.
I'm the John Stockton of like, I love this, of like connection, of like networking. I love it.
Like the Gary Payton for my Seattle people.
Yeah.
The glove.
Boo to Seattle because I'm in Portland. So, you know.
Oh, yeah. CJ.
Yeah, CJ. Thank you.
Glenn Robinson.
Dane. Let's go, Dane. You know, one of the things that you said too, Stephan, it works the other way as well. So if I'm imagining you being in this sea of a bunch of people that have been interviewed or somebody talked to you about something, you know, crazy enough, when all of these 50 people walk away, they won't be able to remember everybody's names, but you know what they will remember? Oh, the guy that's from Costa Rica that was actually from Toronto and also from like, you know, like they're going to remember something that you said as opposed to just everybody answering the question the same way. And like, oh, how are you doing? I'm great. Yeah. Blah, blah. Like those are also the uncommon commonalities too, that I keep going back to that because I think it's beautiful.
I'll pick and choose which ones I share.
Yeah.
Depending on my audience.
Yeah.
So I have a wealth. Oh, we all do. of experiences and things that we can connect with. But guess what? If I'm talking to an audience that is super sports fanatic, that's another thing that makes me unique. I'm a sports encyclopedia. So I've done a lot of things for sports companies, like comedy videos for sports companies that went viral. Guess how many comedians can do that? Not a lot, because not a lot of them are sports enthusiasts like I am. So depending on what you're mentioning and depending on the context of the meeting and depending on what I've learned of you, specifically if I researched you before, I'll just pick and choose the little nuggets that I share because I know they'll connect with you. So I'm listening. I'm always listening. That's what makes me an even better comedian too. Because every time I'm crowd working on stage, I'm listening. I arrive an hour early every single show. I'm just making notes on people. Oh, those guys speak Spanish. Oh, those guys speak French. Oh, that's a table with 10 girls. No guys. Okay, that's unique. Oh, those people look like they're 90 years old. Why are they here? Oh, those guys are all drinking water. Oh, those guys order a bottle of tequila. I'm always taking notes.
Ooh.
So when the second I interact with you, I already know so many things about you that you didn't even know I knew. So I just come across as like a very
in the moment, very observant. Yeah.
Observant and who cares and who actually listens.
Oh my God, this is so beautiful, Marc, because
Go ahead, Cathey. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want you to say what you want to say, but I'm going to say is he's putting into practice. He started with the concept, but now he's showing us how you put it into practice. It's a beautiful thing.
So I'm always thinking about how do you then transfer this to people, right? And this is such a multi-layered approach of first getting people to think about what is your weird superpower, right? Or, whichever concept we want to come up with. And then this idea of then coming up with the toolbox, right? Having a wealth of uncommon commonalities. Pause for a second. Uncommon commonalities. Did you read that somewhere?
Yeah, I heard that on a podcast.
All right, Cathey, we still got to work on that one.
I know. He listens to too many other podcasts.
It's
a great thing.
My memory, I just soak everything.
Yeah.
What I was going to say.
That's why I said what's your weird. I mean, I just made that up on the spot. That was the same thing. It's what's your weird. It's like and he could describe it as an uncommon commonality because I don't know.
I was going to say, I love the idea of what's your weird, right? And getting people to think about what's their weird, because my wheels are turning with that one. And my wheels are turning with more things, right? As we started to exchange, I'm like, well, what's my other weird? And what's another weird that I can bring up, right? But then the next level, right, is understanding that it's not the actual thing, it's what's underneath. As soon as you said it's not the hands and the feet, but it's the fact that I can really memorize and remember things to the detail.
Yep.
That's huge. And then you said, don't just come up with what's your weird, but what's your combination of weirds? There goes that combination word again, right? What's your combination of weirds? Because now the next level of this superpower is being able to notice based on the situation you're in. And this is where the relationship building part comes in. Understanding based on the situation you're in, which weird to talk about to connect.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
Marc.
This is a system. It's a weird system, but it's a
And I'll double down on some of the words. It's a weird combination for a system. Like Marc, thank you, because that's exactly where I was heading anyways. I love that you broke it down like that. That's exactly what I was thinking. Everything that you articulated, I was like, wow, that's how he opened. And then he showed us how to use it. So you just broke that down so beautifully. And I love oh, go ahead, Stephan, go ahead.
I have a quick example, very quick, that I think may help us even aterrizar el concepto. We say in Spanish, aterrizar is when planes land the concept. Because my superpower is remembering things and observing people, because as a kid I never fit in, so I was just observe. I mean, not that I didn't fit in, because I was really good at it eventually, but I just observed people all the time because I was a new guy. I needed to find out how to connect with these people.
Yeah.
So I discovered at the bank that I one of my superpowers was getting my friends jobs. I got like my friends like 100 interviews, like more, like maybe 200 interviews in 7 years. I got like 60 people jobs. I don't even know how many people I got jobs just because there were so many. And even my best friend, who's now my business partner, we both quit the bank together. I got him a job because I was really good at just everything that I knew of them. I would put it in an email and I say, hey, I think I want to recommend this person who I think may be a really good fit for your team for the following 3 reasons. Boom, boom, boom. And those 3 reasons, I know that they were really good for this role because I know what to dissect from their wealth of experiences. And then I got a bunch of people. And now I have something called Not Working to Networking, where it's meetups, industry-specific meetups for Latinos in Toronto. So only Latinos in banking, only Latinos in IT, only Latinos in consulting will come. Half the people have a job, half the people don't. And last year, we got 15 people jobs. And like I got 15 people, my little team and I got 15 people jobs because I remember, hey, you know what? This person also did that in logistics. Let me call them. Boom, interview, job, like that. But a lot of people, if you don't feel like you have a good memory, you can take that to the next step, and it's writing down stuff under people's names that you can use in the future to score huge, not just with them, but really helping everybody around them thrive if you can connect them with amazing opportunities.
It's like the story file for people. It's amazing. It's like having a story file, but retaining
like the Rolodex.
Yeah, like the old Rolodex, right? Where people, it's true though, like people that were really good at having Rolodex, what would they have on there? They would have, the kids' names, the ages, the birthday, the spouse, the whatever, right? Because they could make these connections and they could always kind of flip to that. And let's just be honest, y'all, we all need help with our memory.
And you can have your own
Stephan
weird
has a
Rolodex.
good memory, but the rest.
Oh, I just wrote that down. I just wrote that down on my paper. Your own weird Rolodex.
Your own weird Rolodex. I know. I love that. But I think that for most of us, it would be hard, Stephan, for us to like remember things, and so that's a really good, just even that specific, you showed us how to use it in that specific skill, right? I love when you even said like, hey, when there was a job opening, I wrote and I said, oh, so-and-so would be really good for this. And here's 3 things that I know about this job and I know about them. And I could write, I love that.
Why 3? Because if I give them 27, they can't remember that guy. Yeah. But if I give them 3, just enough.
Just enough. And it's a combination too, though. It's back to your combination thing, though. There's even more power in that because it's like any one of the 3 that you wrote, they could be all like, yeah. Somebody else has that, but not somebody doesn't have the 3 together. Yeah, I love that. I'm like telling him his own thing. I'm like, hey, remember that it's the 3 together.
Yes. Well, because it's genius, because it goes back, and we keep talking about this word combination. You're right. It's not just 3 things about you, but it's the perfect. It's the authentic combination of those 3 things that can make you the perfect fit.
All right, I'm going to play a game again because I think Stephan's the perfect person to play a game with. We played it on his podcast. Stephan's a comedian. He's really good. And when I listen to him, Marc, one of the things that I love that Stephan said, because he just breaks down comedy in a way that I don't think anybody does. I think it's an uncommon way, Stephan, the way you do it. Even if all comedians understand this, the way you teach it, I think it really sticks. And I'm a teacher. So when you said it to me, I was like, oh, I really get it in a different way. Stephan was saying like, when you have a premise, and a premise could be anything for comedy, right? It's just anything. It could be something you hate, something you love, something you are. But then there's these other layers, and the layers are the combination of things. I think you mentioned, Stephan, like I'm an immigrant. Would it be funny if you're like, oh, I'm an immigrant from Kentucky? Like people will laugh because it's like it's a weird twist on that. Or I don't know. Tell us more about that, Stephan, because you're really great at this.
A premise, like you said, is any observation of yours that has an emotion attached to a topic. So I love puppies is a premise, but it's very different than I hate puppies. It's the same topic, but the emotion attached to it, the emotion or the feeling attached to it, makes it a totally different premise. Or I hate politics. I love politics. Politics makes me horny. I am indifferent about politics. It's a totally different premise.
Yeah.
So
a way different premise.
Yeah. And that's what makes you unique. Now, your point of view is what makes you unique. It takes courage to really speak out your point of view on stage, in life, really. But
yeah,
I got a scholarship in 2018 at the Second City at this program called the Bob Curry Fellowship. And it was for persons of color, like foreigners or people who weren't like white, pretty much in Toronto. It also happens in Chicago and in LA. And basically, they really teach you how to speak your own truth on stage. And that really, like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, but it still takes courage. So being able to really pin down how you feel and your actual point of view, not what you think they want you to say, but what you really want to say. And then the other thing that really helped us that we discussed in the episode is not everything that you write is good. So we come back to probabilities. And in comedy, we say that 90% of the things that you write never make it to the stage. So in our program, in our 7-week program, in each of the first 4 classes, you bring 10 premises, each class. And as a class, we vote on the best 3 premises out of those 10 for every student. So you just throw 7 to the garbage and you keep 3 for each class. So by the 4th class, you have 12 winning premises out of 40. And then you only end up using 4 to the final grad show. So you pick 4 out of 40. What percentage is that? That's 10%. So 90% never even made it to the stage. By probability, you're bringing the best of the best to the stage. That's why people, when they see the grad show of our students, they're like, "Oh my God, these guys were born to do comedy." No, there's been a lot of work behind it. And then you add the vocal variety and the body language. But to get back to your point, the authenticity is what makes you different. Yeah, I mean, when students didn't do their homework because they bring like the typical premise, like, I hate the winter, I hate the subway. Everybody says that. That's not unique. That's not original. And it's not truth and it's not pain. So when you're really authentic, when you say your own truth, chances are there's going to be some truth because it's truth and pain. And guess what comedy is? Truth and pain. So you really connect with people. And when you have your weird Rolodex, because it's weird and because it's true, and because there's likely pain if it's weird, it's going to connect with people, and it's bound to sometimes make them laugh as well.
So the reason I asked you to do this, Stephan, Marc, I love this. And I think it's tying really nice to, like, in my head, I'm building his TED Talk, his next TED Talk, right? In my head. And in my head, this was part of the process. Even the same process that he teaches for comedy is what he's teaching to find your own uniqueness. So, okay, cool. I'm a female. It's the same as I hate the subway, right? It's just like, so where's the truth and pain in that? Or where's the really unique thing, or, or something like, right. So I think even what you teach with the comedy, you can tie that to your, this concept of you helping people find their own uniqueness or their own weird, or however we're going to put this together. But I think that's beautiful. Just even showing those numbers, how you talked about 90% of anybody that's good that does anything that's halfway good is going to throw away 90% of what they write or think or do. The 10% is the gold. And that's also the same stuff. It's like the weird 10%. It's a great analogy because it also is the weird 10% about us. That's our gold. That's our superpower.
Like
so
Billie
I love
Eilish. By definition of art is authentic. It's original. Like, a lot of people can try, but they can't have that combination of brother, sister, look.
Yep.
Even like Jared Leto, like singer, actor, or like Kanye, Jay-Z, even like Machine Gun Kelly. Even if you don't like him, like you can see that. You can guess what? Like Megan Fox probably, if he saw Machine Gun Kelly walking down the street, is probably isn't gonna be like, oh, that guy's like the hottest guy ever. But the sheer combination of what they know of these people makes them unique. Like Oprah, you just put Oprah's name on anything and it'll sell. Like Joe Rogan, you can disagree or not like him because of what happened recently or what, it doesn't matter. But the guy is that's one of my favorite examples. A lot of people don't even know that Joe Rogan started as a stand-up comedian. Some people that know him as a stand-up comedian don't even know that Joe Rogan is a UFC commentator. Yeah. And some people that see him in the UFC don't even know he has a podcast or that he does stand-up. And that's one of my blueprints. Like, I am a sports encyclopedia. I can do stand-up and I'm doing a pod. Like, how many people can do that? And in Spanish, not a lot of people. So I'm just making luck find me in many ways. Like, I can do that for soccer. I can do that for other sports. I can make people laugh for sure. And I can interview. So what's your unique combination? What's your weird Rolodex that should have a product market fit? Like, some things like are very weird that may not have a market fit, but some things, it's not the feet and the hands, that it's the memorization that can have a market. It's not memorizing how people's feet and hands look. It's the thing under it that can have a product market fit, and will help you escape competition through authenticity, helping you have an amazing life, as opposed to being stuck in a cubicle for the rest of your life, like analyzing financial statements, which is what I was doing. Like, I don't think nobody was born for that, No, I don't think nobody's like, as a 5-year-old, I know like financial statements my entire life. And if you do, that's amazing. But most of us, or some of us, don't.
Right. I love what you're saying. And Cathey, I also love what you were talking about in terms of just combining the whole thing, because I heard from comedy and bringing 40 different premises to bringing all of these different weirds. And Cathey, I don't know if you caught that you said the weird 10%. That caught me too. I was like, oh, if you could take all the different things that were weird about you and chisel them down to that weird 10%. I love that. I love that concept. That's absolutely amazing. It's
like taking his two concepts and just blending them. I think it's a really, and that's what I love about you, Stephan, is like you are good at cutting to that, because you practice it, you do it, and so I think that's what if this were an idea that you were sharing with the world, I think you could get even people that loved spreadsheets, if you will, right? You could get them to figure out what it is what's that weird 10% though, that they do and they love, even within something that could seem so mundane, because it might seem mundane to us, but I bet you there's some spreadsheet wizards out there that are doing some things that we have no idea about. Yeah. That seems pretty weird, right? So I don't know. I love that. I just love all, and I feel like there was a couple of concepts that we threw out that, like, the names or the terms that felt more you, that were like, they belong to you. They don't belong. You started this show off and it was like, hey, let me tell you things other people have said. As a speaker coach, I never want to hear you say that. Like, I don't want you to stand on a stage and say, I learned these things from listening to people. No, I learned these things because of my experiences or people that I work with. So to me, part of this conversation also was cutting that piece out and finding Stephan's,
Or what I would add to that is, I don't always think that that's an issue, but it's an issue when you start off with it, right? Cathey and I always talk about, like, how do you back up some of the stuff you learn? Right? Yeah. You use it as a support, but not as the actual idea.
As the opening. Yeah. I mean, we even started with the line that turns out it was somebody else's, which is great. I feel like this episode with you, Stephan, has been amazing in that space of, we were like, okay, awesome. Like, don't do that. But so many people do it too. Like, it's literally the same thing that you're teaching too, because when people go to speak or talk about an idea, where's the first place they go? wherever everybody else went.
Yeah.
The first place they want to start off with. Bullying is bad. Awesome. We know that. Thank you. Like
We can Google that. And
we get it.
Yeah.
Not to discourage anybody that doesn't know how to leverage their weird Rolodex yet, but it's important that you get that it's still evolving, because
Yeah.
I heard a story about someone the other day that sells golden flutes for Peru, like golden Peruvian flutes, and charges like $50,000 for each of them. And he only makes like 10 a year. And guess what? This guy wasn't making golden flutes 35 years ago. He was probably making, like, learning how to make guitars or something, or like learning how to play the flute. But then he like started doing more stuff with flutes, then started doing stuff in gold. Then like 15 years later, he's like, hey, how about golden flutes? And then now he sells them to the presidents and to the symphonies of New York. But how many people can do that? Not a lot of people, because he spent years like ironing out, like perfecting his weird Rolodex, or his weirdness, his skill set, you know? So it's okay if guess what? I'm not going to be the same artist in 10 years. I'm going to be more weird. and that's amazing, because I'm going to be blowing money through the sunroof, money in the thing, like Jay-Z would say.
Man.
But that's okay. Go ahead.
Stephan, I have to tell you something then. This just like hit me. You know, when I was introducing you, I introduced you because I've seen you write this somewhere. I don't know where, if it was on your website or just on your social media. But when I saw you write bilingual comedian, now it like makes sense how much more brilliant that is. That's why I think Marc and I we don't like speaker coach, or like even idea coach is better, because who is actually a coach for ideas? Marc and I, we kind of made that up. It's not really like a, you know, whatever, a thing. But I think you just said that so beautifully. When I saw bilingual comedian, I was like, oh my God, that there's so many comedians. But then even just taking those two things and putting them together already narrowed it down. And it gave you like a unique position.
Like Drew Tarvin, who's also on the Toastmasters panels. You would love to have him. He is an engineer. And then he has like a TEDx talk that is called The Skill of Humor, which has like 10 million views or whatever. And not whatever, like 10 million views. and I meant like whatever if I messed up the name, the title. But he calls himself, which I think is by far one of the most genius things that he done. He calls himself Drew Tarvin, humor engineer. Who is a humor engineer? That. Nobody. It doesn't exist. And by definition, he's unique. So
yeah, I love that.
What's our thing?
Wow, I got to tell you, I want to thank you. Oh, no, go ahead, Cathey.
No. I'm sorry, Marc, could you come up with one for yourself? I just thought of something that I never thought of. Sorry, I'm just going to add this one last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I started my company as a marketer. I wrote a marketing book, and then I became a speaker coach or a TED coach. And then I always was like, oh, these things married together. But what if the thing was, I'm a speech marketer, or like, you know, you put these, not a speech marketer, because then it would sound like I'm marketing speeches, but it's kind of what you said, like humor engineer. If you put those two things together, nobody else can be that thing. So even Marc, you and I, like, we kind of say, oh, we're idea coaches, but we're both saying the same thing. So somebody else could be that thing. You and I could be the same thing. But there's something that you can say about it that I couldn't, and there's something I can say about it that you couldn't. Anyway, I
always use banker turned comedian. Because who can say that? Not a lot of people. And it makes it easy for other people to tell my story.
Yeah. Marketing. Yeah. There's something there. I got to figure it out, but I love it. It's the two things. It's the bilingual comedian, already put you in a unique space. The humor engineer. Love that. Marc and I will have to come up with ours, but that was my thought, Marc.
Can I tell you? My brain is filled with so many different things, and I'm not even going to begin to talk about how much I love professional wrestling and how much I have dressed up as a professional wrestler, and how much I probably even patterned some of my speaking after professional wrestling. But I wasn't a professional wrestler. But and anyway, I'm even thinking about how do I combine that? How do I turn that into something? How do I take the fact that you talk about something weird?
Speech wrestler.
I will walk home. I know. Speech wrestler. I will walk for 2 miles. And everybody in my office thinks I'm absolutely ridiculous. Forget weird. Ridiculous for all of the walking that I do. But, oh, man, you've got my brain turning. So I want to thank you as an 100%. Individual. I want to thank you as a speaker and as a coach. I want to thank you as a parent, because I can see how Cathey knows I always take these conversations to the dinner table. I want to thank you as a career coach, because even as I coach people on rebranding themselves, a lot of what you said today is so mind-blowing. Cathey always talks about the TED Talk. I'm always thinking about that workshop and how do you build the system. So you've got so many different tools here. But I would be remiss if I did not ask you this last question as we wrap it up. And I think you said it, but I just want to hear it. Since we started this conversation, how has your idea evolved or transformed for you?
Well, I think I love this concept of the weird rolodex. Like monetize the weird rolodex, or leverage the weird rolodex, or embrace your weird rolodex, or like something around it, because it's catchy and it really makes you embrace who you are in many ways. Like for the longest time, I was embarrassed because I didn't know any other Latinos who loved Daddy Yankee, Kanye West, and Jay-Z as much as I did. Nobody that I knew listened to them. And it's like coming out of the closet in many ways. You're coming out of your own weird closet with everything. And that's what makes you different. So I think my escape competition through authenticity, but it's more than that. It's embracing your weird Rolodex, which will ultimately help you be proud of who you are and who you become in the process.
Yeah. Yes.
Think about the message that we're giving our kids with this, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can be yourself. Like it just priceless for the next generation in many ways.
That was a beautiful point to end on. That was a beautiful point to end on, what you just said right there. Thank you for that. How does anybody find out about the bilingual comedian? How does anybody else find out about the weird guy who knows everything about their hands and their feet?
You can find me at Stephan Dyer, Stephan Dyer, Dyer, everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Tinder, Grindr, ICQ, WhatsApp, High Five, Kazaa, MySpace, anywhere and everywhere.
Awesome.
Awesome. And you know where else you can find Stephan Dyer? Right here on another episode of It's About to Go Down. And anybody out there who's got an idea that you want to share, that you want to shape so that you can get it out to the world. And if anybody out there knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who's got an idea that they want to shape and shift and get out to the world, send an email to Cathey and I at our website. It's About to Go Down show. We'd love to have you on and have these amazing idea conversations. Stephan, thank you for your comedy, for your wisdom, and for your weirdness. And to everybody out there, thanks for joining us on another episode of It's About to Go Down.